Hello everyone, welcome to Davi-tech-media, the media that shares news, trending videos, political news, gospel music as well as entertainment. I'm your host and producer, Luchimbi David. I'm here to update you with news, trending videos, political news, gospel music as well as entertainment. Join me. If you're joining me for the first time, click subscription button and hit that notification bell to be the first person to receive the video that will be produced and posted by Davi-tech-media.
Okay, we're live now.
Okay. Can start?
Yes, you can start.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much and welcome to this very short session where we want to put across our sentiment regarding what we believe is an impending and imminent shortage of fuel in our country. Of course, we have to recognize that this is not the first time that the country and its people is faced with yet and by another fuel shortage crippling in every economic sense. This is why I want to continue to give context and perspective to this very important issue so that the country and its people can begin to correctly think about what is at the heart and center of this problem. Let me begin by making reference to a statement that is attributed to the president for the Oil Marketing Association of Zambia, Dr. Kafula Muvanga. And this statement has been captured and published in the Diggers newspaper of the 16th of June 2021. And I'm going to read in part what the statement captured in the newspaper says. Oil Marketing Companies Association of Zambia President Dr. Kafula Muvanga has attributed the prevailing shortage of fuel to product hikes at ports of discharge. And Dr. Muvanga says the suspension of value-added tax VAT on diesel and petrol has been swallowed by the rising prices of fuel at ports of discharge. In an interview, Dr. Muvanga says the situation was expected to be resolved by the end of the week. Now, obviously, this statement was issued in view of several hundreds of vehicles which were seen queuing for fuel, not just in Lusaka, but in several other cities across this country. Now, it is against this background that we wanted to add our voice to this very, very important issue, because we all understand that fuel is essentially the wheels that drive any economy, let alone the economy of a country like Zambia, which already is and has been struggling. So we are deeply concerned at this situation. We wish to state without doubt that the sustained high prices of fuel in Zambia, now to be accompanied by an imminent crippling shortage, are all due to what has been a failure of leadership by our colleagues in the PF, a failure to stabilize both prices and supplies for the benefit of this country and its people. We have to recognize, and we have always been on the record, that anything and everything pertaining and bordering on the economy rises and falls on leadership. So if and when political leadership fails in the manner that we in the UPND believe that it has done and has failed, these are some of the consequences that we're seeing and witnessing at the moment. Now, the nation is aware that when global oil prices fell to an historical low during the first half of the year 2020, our colleagues in the PF regime had an opportunity to stock up on national fuel requirements and make bulk advance purchases, but instead they squandered $727 million meant for fuel imports on activities they have never explained. Now again, this point is really, really important because we all know that in the first half of the year 2020, there was a drastic, historic, almost unprecedented dip in the price of oil prices on the international markets. Literally, those who had the commodity on them were paying those who needed it so that they could take it off them. That time, this country, under the PF regime, had an opportunity where we could have literally gone out and gotten bulk supplies of our fuel requirements that this country was going to need maybe for the next 1 or 2 years, literally for nothing. But we had this country and this leadership squandering $727 million of money which we had but have never been able to account for. And this is why we still continue asking the Zambian people, can we continue asking these colleagues of ours in government the critical questions around where this money meant and also have been used on the procurement of fuel products for this country and its economy, where this money went? Because this money has never been accounted for. All that we know is that this money currently now is owed to international oil suppliers. Now we also wish to note that the PF government has been dishonest in failing to account for strategic fuel reserve collections, money which should have been key in stabilizing both the pump price and supplies of fuel in our country. Now, again, the country and its people need to be aware, and we need to be reminded of this, that in the year 2005, the Energy Regulation Board instituted a critical component to the pump price of fuel, which was the strategic fuel reserve component, which essentially was and continues to be intended to be used for purposes of stabilizing fuel prices and also stocking up on strategic fuel reserves for those rainy days should catastrophe or calamity strike in the global oil market community. Now, we continue to ask the question, does Zambia at the moment have strategic fuel or oil reserves as is a requirement in the structure of the pump price, which we currently are subjected to at the moment? Government, per every litre of fuel that is bought by a consumer, they collect an amount, near enough 1 kwacha on every litre that is bought in this country. That 1 kwacha on every litre is collected in strategic fuel reserve fund. This money again has never been accounted for. Does Zambia have strategic fuel reserves? If we do, how much fuel reserves do we have in this country, and where are they? And is it right for Zambia and this economy to be experiencing crippling fuel shortages when we have fuel reserves sitting in this country? If we don't have those, where has the money been going in respect of strategic fuel reserves? These are important questions which our colleagues in government need to attend to. But we want to go a step further and state that we are also aware that the mismanagement of the kwacha exchange rate against the dollar is now hurting OMCs, that is the oil marketing companies, who are now incurring major losses at discharge ports. These are the sentiments that are being echoed by the Oil Marketing Companies Association of Zambia at the moment. And this is what is leading to the crippling shortage that we're witnessing at the moment. Now, this situation is problematic for the economy, as soon enough we all should expect a hike in the pump price of fuel and a subsequent spike in the cost of living for many millions of Zambians who are already struggling with hunger and poverty. We cannot divorce or dissociate the crippling kwacha from what we're experiencing with shortages of fuel at the moment. As long as the kwacha continues to depreciate, because leadership has failed in this country, the cost of landing this commodity at the ports and subsequently to the pump where it is needed the most by you and I and the rest of the economy will continue skyrocketing. So then the question which all of us need to be asking is, if all marketing companies, the only entities right now who have the ability to import fuel into this country, because our government no longer has the ability to import fuel, this is why they have literally given up and given that mandate and responsibility for fuel to be imported to oil marketing companies. What is going to happen when these oil marketing companies finally turn around and say, look, the kwacha has depreciated drastically. The cost of landing fuel now has become exceedingly expensive. We want a pump price hike. What will this country, what will this government, what will the Zambian people do? And these are the things that we need to be thinking about as a nation, as a leadership, and continue to ask critical questions of these of our colleagues. Again, we want to state, when leadership fails, it is ordinary people like you and I, and those who need the help the most amongst ourselves, who are going to pay a heavy price. The Zambian economy cannot afford a crippling fuel shortage. We are already reeling from the effects of COVID and several other shocks within the economy, which are too numerous to mention. So it is important that our colleagues in government move very, very quickly to get a grip on this issue. But in getting a grip on this issue, they have some fundamental questions bordering on accountability and transparency, which they need to answer. What has happened to the 727 million made for fuel imports? What has happened to the strategic fuel reserves, which we're supposed to have on the basis that we are collecting this money on every liter of fuel that is sold at the pump? And what strategy right now and guarantees can they and are they able to provide to the Zambian people that the kwacha is not only just going to be stabilized, but it is going to appreciate drastically against the dollar, so that all marketing companies will be able to land the commodity at a profitable enough premium, which is not going to be hurting the economy and ordinary consumers. These are things that we need to be thinking about, and therefore we want to be quick in urging citizens to be bold and to be bold enough and correct this unprecedented failure of leadership on the part of our colleagues in government, the PF, and deliver a decisive change of government at the August polls. All of these problems are anchored and are bordering on a failure of leadership. The easiest way to fix these failures of leadership is to go out in August and decisively deliver a change of government. There is no other ways and no two ways about it, fellow Zambians and fellow citizens. I thank you, and we hope that this nonsensical fuel situation that we are almost getting into will be averted before it gets to the worst. Thank you very much, and have yourselves a very, very good afternoon.
If you are joining me for the first time, please remember to click subscription button and hit that notification bell to be the first person to receive the video that will be produced by Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media, updating you. Davi-tech-media, subscribe to Davi-tech-media.
I'm so glad that you watched this video onto Davi-tech-media. Remember, if you are joining me for the first time, don't forget to click subscription button and hit that notification bell to be the very first person to receive the video that will be posted and produced by Davi-tech-media. Remember, Davi-tech-media, update
Davi-tech-media, subscribe to Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media, subscribe to Davi-tech-media.
Viva, vai, viva, viva, viva! viva, viva, vai, viva, 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 vai, viva, 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 vai, viva, viva,